What's up everybody, it's your boy Squints here, and today I'm going to teach you everything you need to know to succeed as a Holy Paladin during Season 1 of The War Within. Whether you're raiding, Mythic plussing, playing Lightsmith, or Herald of the Sun, your boys got you covered. Holy Paladins are the wielder of the light that heal and support their group in melee range. During your healing and DPS rotation, you'll focus on building and spending Holy Power, which will give you access to stronger heals and damaging abilities. As a Holy Paladin, you bring a ton of defenses and utility to your groups, making you a great asset in any comp. To start things off, I'll be focusing on talent trees. You'll be able to find the import code for every build in the description below, and during this section, I'll be just highlighting the key talents that alter our gameplay. First up is Divine Favor. After casting Holy Prism, the healing of your next Holy Light or Flash of Light is increased by 40%, and its cast time and mana is reduced. Saved by the Light gives an ally with Beacon on them and an Absorb Shield when they drop below 50% health. This has a grace period though before it can happen again. Next is Light of the Martyr, which makes your Holy Shock healing even stronger while above 80% health, but places a heal absorb on you that cannot be removed with healing from your beacons. Generally, don't stress about the healing absorb until it's more than 25 to 35% of your life. Word of Glory is a great way to help remove the shield from you. Bestow Light is the follow-up talent for Light of the Martyr that now increases Holy Shock's healing while above 70% health and increases the healing of Holy Shock even further. While Light of the Martyr healing absorb is on you, stacking up to 3 times. While below 70% health, it will now also heal you every 1 second. Awakening makes it so as you spend Holy Power, you will gain 1 stack of Awakening, and at 15 stacks, your next judgment will trigger Avenging Wrath, aka your wings. With Truth Prevails, your damaging ability Judgment will also heal you. If you're at max health, it will transfer that healing to 2 nearby allies. Rising Sunlight will make your next 2 Holy Shocks double cast on the target after using Wings or Divine Toll. Lastly, there is one little talent swap I want to highlight, Empyrean Legacy. It's a raid only talent that makes Judgment empower your Word of Glory every 20 seconds to allow Word of Glory to also cast Light of Dawn at 25% effectiveness. This talent is swapped with Veneration in Mythic Plus, which makes Hammer Wrath heal nearby allies for the damage dealt and makes your crits of Flash of Light, Holy Light, or Judgment reset the cooldown of Hammer Wrath. When it comes to the key class talents, I'll be covering those during the utility section of this video. Herald of the Sun is one of our 2 hero talent choices. Herald of the Sun brings strong spot healing and group healing to your group, making it a great choice for both Mythic Plus and Raid. This hero talent at the moment currently outperforms Lightsmith in terms of raw healing output for your group. Now, let's dive into the key talents for our Sun-bearing Heralds. Dawn Light is the free node you receive in this tree. After casting Holy Prism, your next 2 Holy Power spenders will put Dawn Light on the target, either healing or damaging them over time. 8% of that damage or healing radiates to nearby allies or enemies. Eternal Flame will replace Word of Glory. This will do a large initial heal and then apply a heal over time. This healing is increased by 25% when cast on yourself, making it a great spender to help you deal with Light of the Martyr's healing absorb. Do not worry about spreading this heal over time to a bunch of your party members because it's really just not worth it. Every 5 seconds, Morning Star will increase the healing or damage of your next Dawn Light. Solar Grace is a stacking buff that increases your haste by 2% for every 12 seconds every time you apply a Dawn Light. Your damage and healing over time abilities have a chance to increase the damage of your next Holy Shock by 200% thanks to Blessing of Anshi. Ain't she pretty dope? Then finally, the capstone talent, Sun's Avatar. Every time you cast Avenging Wrath, aka your wings, you will apply Dawn Light onto 4 nearby allies or enemies. All of your targets with Dawn Light will become linked to you, creating a holy beam. This beam heals allies or damages enemies who pass through it. The Dawn Light application from activating wings will prioritize allies over enemies. You will want to try and apply the 2 Dawn Lights from using Holy Prism before popping wings. The beams will also be created when activating wings from Judgment thanks to the Awakening talent, but this does not apply the 4 free Dawn Lights from just using normal wings. Sun's Avatar is a ton of fun and visually looks amazing. It's important to be aware of your positioning though, since you will want to have as many enemies or allies having beams crossing through them as possible to maximize your healing and damage output. Before we dive into Lightsmith, I want to highlight one talent change on the spec tree, and that's Avenging Crusader, which allows you to spam your damaging abilities to heal your allies. This does replace wings. Why do this, you may ask? Well, Lightsmith will deal far more damage than the Herald of the Sun, but lacks in the group and spot healing. Currently, this hero talent feels much stronger for tank healing and damage mitigation, making this a strong choice if your group is lacking that for the upcoming raid. Now, this doesn't mean you won't be able to run this build if it's something you enjoy. The only time this will truly hold you back is when you're pushing high-end Mythic raiding and pushing past 10 keys in Mythic Plus. Even in these scenarios, playing this spec optimally, you will be able to perform well enough for your group. Oh, and you'll also get one more charge of your passive Infusion of Light to use with this talent setup. Starting off with the first key hero talent, Holy Armaments. This ability has 2 charges on a 1-minute recharge. The Bulwark charge is an absorb shield, while the Sacred Weapon charge is a chance to proc additional healing or damage. Always place one on someone else because it will always be applied to yourself at max level, and this gives you actual control over where these buffs are applied. Sacred Weapon can be placed on anyone. Don't stress about trying to min-max someone's damage or healing. Rite of Sanctification is an immune you can place on your weapon that increases armor and intellect. Divine Guidance makes your concentration deal more damage or healing immediately, split across everyone within it for each holy power ability cast beforehand. Don't worry about min-maxing the amount of holy power you spend before casting consecration, just drop it. Divine Inspiration makes it so spells have a chance to create holy armaments for a nearby ally, always giving the tank bulwark, which is what makes this specialization so strong for tank healing. Last up is the capstone, Blessing of the Forge, which makes it when you're entering Avenging Crusader, you summon a sacred weapon, and all targets with sacred weapons echo your holy power spenders, making this a massive damage window that allows you to do some massive healing at the same time. Don't worry about lining up your sacred weapon charge with this cooldown. If it's ready, get it out beforehand. If not, no sweat. Holy Paladin is all about generating and spending holy power. When it comes to generating holy power, it will be a combination between healing and damaging abilities. It is crucial you do not cap holy power and then try to generate it. Always be looking to spend your holy power so you're not being wasteful. For healing, you'll generate holy power from Holy Shock and Holy Prism. For damaging, it will be Holy Shock, Prism, Judgment, Crusader Strike, and Hammer of Wrath. When it comes to spending holy power on healing, you'll be either using Word of Glory / Eternal Flame or Dawn of Light. To deal damage, you will use Shield of the Righteous, and every 5 shields will make your next healing holy power spender free. When healing a Mythic Plus, you'll have your quick spot heals and your big group heals. For your spot heals, this is your priority order. Holy Shock, then Word of Glory / Eternal Flame. Friendly reminder, using holy power for these abilities though is a trade-off in damage, so just be mindful of that. They are massive heals though, but always ask yourself, if I just did 20k more damage and everything died a little bit faster, would I have had to worry about those big spot heals or AOE healing mechanic? So always keep that in the back of your mind. After that, you have Holy Light with Infusion of Light and Divine Favor. Then you have Flash of Light with Infusion of Light. When playing Lightsmith, make sure to be throwing out your armaments, your bulwarks on players who need shielding, and sacred weapons on anyone. For your AOE healing and Mythic Plus while playing Herald of the Sun, you want to prioritize the following: Beacon of Virtue in combination with your spot healing rotation or Divine Toll. To fully utilize Beacon of Virtue, make sure you cast it before big damage goes out so everyone can receive 5% damage reduction thanks to our talent Light's Protection. Avenging Wrath, aka of course those beautiful wings, making sure you're positioning yourself though to have the beams crossing through as many allies as possible to maximize that healing. Divine Toll for a big instant group heal, and lastly Holy Prism casted on an enemy. For AOE healing and Mythic Plus while playing Lightsmith, once again you have Beacon of Virtue in combination with Divine Toll, and the same applies here. Use it before the damage goes out. Avenging Crusader, where you will be spamming Crusader Strike and Judgment to heal your allies, along with some Shield of Righteous. Divine Toll for that big instant group heal, and of course Holy Prism once again casted on an enemy. You may be asking yourself, what about Dawn of Light and Mythic Plus for AOE healing? Well, since most groups you will end up playing with will not be all melee, you will not benefit much from spending holy power on Light of Dawn to heal your group, and Eternal Flame or Word of Glory will just out heal it. So you will not find yourself using Light of Dawn really at all in Mythic Plus unless you have a full melee group. Now when it comes to your raid healing, priority list gets a little easier since it's not much about spot healing as much as it's about group healing. Light of Dawn will be your highest priority and your main holy power spender. Word of Glory and Eternal Flame will be second and only when Empyrean Legacy talent is ready so that you can cast a free Light of Dawn. Just a little double dip in and you'll be able to do that every 20 seconds. Next is Holy Shock for those quick spot heals. Holy Prism casted on an enemy for damage and group heals. And lastly, you'll have Holy Light with Infusion of Light and Divine Favor once again. And of course, Flash of Light with just Infusion of Light, which are your spot heals for your tanks. In raid, you'll be using Beacon of Faith and will always want to have one on your main tank for the damage reduction from our talent Light's Protection. Then you'll want to throw it on the range player who's always taking damage. I kid, but really put it on a range player so that you gain the increased healing on players nearby that player thanks to our mastery and talents. Starting off with Mythic Plus, your priority is as follows. Keep concentration down at all times. Holy Prism on an ally to deal AOE damage. Shield of Righteous to spend that holy power. Holy Shock, Judgment, Crusader Strike. If everything else is on cooldown and Hammer of Wrath is available, you can use it. Divine Toll is an ability you can also cast in AoE to deal some extra damage as long as you know some big group healing isn't right around the corner. Just make sure to cast it on an enemy so it prioritizes enemy targets. In raid, the only thing that changes is concentration will move down the prio list to right before Hammer of Wrath, and Holy Prism will now be cast on the boss. For anyone playing Lightsmith, you can enter Avenging Crusader to deal big single target damage. Your priority is to spam Crusader Strike and then Judgment until both are on cooldown. When they're on cooldown, you can spend your holy power on Shield of Righteous or Holy Shock until they're off cooldown. By the way, this is the only time ever overcapping holy power is okay. Just spam Crusader Strike and Judgment. Don't worry about holy power until those abilities are fully on cooldown. And while you're playing Lightsmith, you can always swap off Avenging Crusader to play a normal wing setup. And if you do this, you can totally ignore this Avenging Crusader rotation for Lightsmith. For Herald of the Sun, you can also use Holy Prism to gain Dawn Lights, hit 2 different targets with Righteous Shield, then cast Avenging Wrath and line yourself up to heal and deal big damage. Your positioning is key though in terms of how much damage you'll deal and how much healing you'll get out. Always keep that in mind and always pay attention to your feet. Paladins have 2 key self-defensives. First off, granting full immunity is Divine Shield, which has the longest cooldown of the 2. It's great to get yourself out of those oh shit spots though. Next is Divine Protection, which is a 20% damage reduction on a short cooldown. You'll want to use this every time you are targeted by an ability or when big group damage is going out. For our party though, we bring a few very strong defensives. First off is Blessing of Sacrifice, aka SAC, which is 30% damage reduction on the selected target, but you take 100% of the damage prevented. This is on a 2-minute cooldown and should be used when you know your tank is about to take a lot of damage or an individual player is. When first learning the spec, try to just use it every time it's off cooldown to get in the habit of using it and then begin to save it later when you're more comfortable with the mechanics and where/when to use it. Blessing of Protection is an immunity to physical damage and harmful effects for you or your party members. This ability is great to save someone from a fixate or a dot. Just don't use this on your tank. Aura Mastery buffs your active aura, and in combination with Devotion Aura makes a 12% damage reduction. In Mythic Plus, add Beacon of Virtue into the mix and you can get a 17% group-wide damage reduction. And for cooldowns, we have Avenging Wrath, also known as Wings. This is 20% more damage, healing, and crit. Again, always be using this ability and saving it for when big damage is coming out. For Lightsmith, you have Avenging Crusader when playing that build, which is faster cooldowns for your Crusader Strike and Judgment, and now makes them heal your allies within 5 yards for 420% of the damage done. Lit. Lay on Hands heals the target for 100% of your total health pool. This is a massive heal to instantly save someone's life. In our crowd control kit, we have Rebuke, which is your interrupt on a 15-second cooldown, Hammer Justice, which is our stun on a minute cooldown, and in Mythic Plus, you'll have Blinding Light, which is our AoE disorient, which is great for interrupting multiple casts. And now for everyone's favorite micromanagement buff, Blessing of Summer. It was reworked and we are now able to just cast every single one on ourselves if you want to. Summer is is now a buff you always give to yourself, which converts healing into damage and damage into healing. The conversion for damage to healing is minimal, and the buff works for overhealing. So when it's active, heal your little holy buns off, and ideally try to line this up with your wings. Autumn is cooldowns recover 30% faster, winter restores 15% of the mana to any healer, and spring increases healing by 15% and healing received by 30%. Stats are super simple this expansion, with intellect being even stronger than it was in Dragonflight. So just worry about item level over secondary stats until you pretty much have all max gear. Our breakdown though for both Mythic Plus and Raid is intellect, crit, haste, and lastly, mastery. Our tier this season will have minimal impact on how we play, but instead just boost what we are already doing. For our 2-piece, Holy Shock's healing is increased by 10% and its cooldown is reduced by 10%. For our 4-piece, Holy Shock increases the initial healing of your next Word of Glory or Light of Dawn by 8%, stacking up to 4 times. For weapon of chance, you will want Radiant Power. Chest, we want Crystalline Radiance. Rings, you want Radiant Haste. Cloak, Leeching Fangs. Bracers, Armored Leech. Boots, Defender's March. Legs, Sunset Spellthread. Gems, you want Deadly Emeralds, and 1 culminating Bizquick. Our weapon room this expansion is Algari Mana Oil. For flask, you'll want Flask of Aggression, and food, you'll always want a feast. Tempered Potion is our pre-pot this expansion, and Algari Healing and Algari Mana for, well, it's kinda in the name. We covered a lot in today's guide, and I hope it gets you started on a strong foot in Season 1 of the War Within. If you have any questions, let me know in the comments below, or click the description to join the community Discord. And if Holy Paladin isn't your cup of tea, don't worry, I have an Enhancement Shaman guide that you can check out here. And don't forget to like and subscribe since it's free, unlike early access.